And we're live.
You
The
know
moon-
what it is.
The Moon Boys.
Ahorita vamos a la luna. Oh, that's why Luna's been pumping. Jesus, it all makes sense.
Why?
The name.
La Luna.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's see. Let's get these links out.
Yep, that's something I just dropped.
That's so funny. We just had the perfect intro, but it wasn't even recording. So you guys missed out on a precious moment.
It was a real gem. We went like 2 minutes of pure gold.
And now just cast away into our own memories forever. Let's see. Content.
Yeah, if you don't record it, did it even happen?
Honestly, not, to be honest. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a background to this video, the thumbnail.
There you go.
And can you share the YouTube link?
Yep, I'm tweeting it out right now.
All right. Actually, you know what? We're gonna make the thumbnail here. So let's just click add to stream, and then in here we're gonna go to Maximus.cash. You're live making the YouTube thumbnail. So let's see. This is the one that I had on that. If you haven't gone to the website, check out Maximus.cash. This is everything you need to know about MAXI. We just put on a new test phase on the new Pulse Chain testnet. First one was successful, but then the network stopped being hosted by the time we needed to use it for the end stake. But we've been able to start some successful stakes and getting the Hedron integration going. So if you haven't already, check out the Maximus.cash site, link up to Pulse Chain testnet, and try out the minting. All right, so I just snapshotted a little candid thumbnail for the video. Let's go ahead and add that right now. Yep.
We might be too spontaneous. I don't know if it would help if we scheduled it out, but we usually just we're just like, you want to stream? Yep.
And then we hop on. And it's fine. This is evergreen content. It's fun to have everyone in the chat, but also, you know, we have enough to discuss. And yeah, so did you tweet out the link?
I did.
All right, let me do the same. Do you see Richard Hart trending on Twitter?
I didn't see that. No, I saw your tweet about it though.
Richard Hart trending. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone kind of has their own trending list.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's that was the first time I'd ever seen his name pop up there. So it is in the Twitterverse and in their reinforcement algorithms, which is a good thing.
Yeah, man, we're mainstream now.
Yeah, dude. So mainstream.
People say Hex is pretty viral, but we've definitely had a viral phase. I would say that run up was viral.
Yeah, we definitely have viral moments for sure.
Which is good. You don't want to say we've never been viral. We have. I think there needs to be a distinction between viral and mainstream. Like Bitcoin's mainstream, Ethereum's mainstream. But you know, I'm more than happy to stay away from that because Bitcoin's hitting that precipice of okay, how much bigger can this get? You know, how many more McDonald's can we get to accept Bitcoin?
Yeah, how many more double cheeseburgers can people buy for their baby with Bitcoin? All right. Well, we've got the regular cast in the comments. Shout out Oaks Will commenting on the shades. We love it. It's so funny. We've had these for a long time. When did?
Yeah, we almost started a Shopify.
Yeah.
to
Maybe,
sell
honestly, maybe what we should do is we should issue maybe get like a blue and yellow tint custom made, and then people can, with MAXI, like say you have like 1 million MAXI, you can buy them. And just like a luxury MAXI shade product.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so today we just kind of wanted to go into a couple things, couple updates, but mainly we wanted to drive down on this topic here, just related to assessing the value of your stake. Goldkey made a pretty helpful calculator that lets you, just kind of plug in your own values and estimate, how many people you think might be minting MAXI, what the future price of the MAXI is going to be, what the future earning of the pooled stake is going to be. And this can kind of help you lay out in your mind, what really is the market price of MAXI, because it starts at 1 hex, but then, there's all these other factors that are then baked into the MAXI value, such as the future earnings, where every day that goes by, you become more and more certain what that total value is going to be. And then also the earnings of the Hedron. You're speculating on, what is the value of that Hedron going to be in the future that the pooled stake gets to mint. And then also like discounting to the present, perhaps, or like discounting, just to the liquidity of the market. Like if it's not particularly liquid, then large sellers are going to be getting out at a very low price. And so they're really, so they're losing some of that future earning, from that. So there's, and also just like general contract risk. If there are people that will refuse to hold MAXI because they are concerned with, adding that other layer of risk, then, that's downwards pressure on the price as well. And so, we're just going to kind of go into some of these different topics, and then play around with this calculator, and then maybe give some updates on the audit and where we're at with that. So if you haven't already, go to maximus.cash. This is like a great way to learn just some of the important concepts of MAXI. And if you want to try it out yourself on Pulse Chain, again, go to the Mint MAXI button. This is awesome.
Yeah, we can after we talk about what we're going to talk about, maybe we do a run through. So stick around for that. We'll mint some MAXI live.
All right, so let's go ahead and just go to your calculator.
I think you need to create a copy in order to edit.
Okay. File, make a copy. Okay.
Perf.
So in general, like this can be even just your own stake calculator. The pooled MAXI stake is really no different than a stake that you may be doing on your own. And so, this can be helpful for planning just for yourself. But kind of the big areas this shows is the minting. This shows, you can estimate how much hex is being pledged, and then this helps calculate what these longer pays better and bigger pays better bonuses are going to be. And then what that does to the number of T-shares that the stake actually gets. And so at this rate, so like just using 150 million as just an example, because this is where the bigger pays better maxes out. 150 million hex gets 29.4 or 21,944 T-shares. And and so what we can estimate here is what is that daily payout per T-share? You don't really know what that's going to be. You can go to sites like apphex.win and you can kind of see what that is. But This is mainly the things that are pushing that up would be things such as the early long stakes that are ending hold liquid, so like they don't restake. So like every day that goes by, there's new stakes, or there's old stakes ending. These are some of the highest earning ones, and if these people do not restake, then that pushes the that average T-share payout up. This is pushed down by those early long stakes restaking and longer. So not just longer in terms of days, but long enough to secure more T-shares than they started. Because if these T-shares in the current pool expire and they get replenished, but even more, that's driving that value down. And so as this average T-share payout goes up, that means that there's more liquid hex, and so potentially better buy opportunities for times when like a bunch of liquid hex is looking for an exit all at the same time. And then, but on the other hand, if like these old stakes are not selling, then they're restaking, and they're continuing to lock liquid supply that was scheduled to be liquid at stake expiry. If they're not making that hex liquid and they're locking it up, that drives the price up. So there's less liquid hex, potentially better sell opportunities. So these are the things that really drive that average T-share payout. And so when you're estimating this, one way to kind of just how, like, I actually think that applying today's as a future estimate is actually good. Because in addition to the average T-share payout being impacted by restaking capacity, it's also just driven by the 3.69% supply inflation. Because the average T-share payout is the total, total daily inflation divided by the eligible T-shares that can collect it. And so just like as the supply grows, because the inflation is based on the total supply ever minted, the average T-share payout kind of has a floor raising at that 3.69%. But sometimes it's higher. Like right now, it's actually higher because a lot of that supply inflation, like when we look back to some of my old videos on Dipcatcher, where we talk about we talk about like what is the hex inflation rate over time as a result of the big payday stakes. Currently, the effective supply inflation is a little bit higher because supply that was allocated at big payday is now being minted and marks to market from the supply inflation's calculation. So it's like minimum of 3.69% supply inflation. That's like kind of boosting that daily payout up. And so like if that 3.69% supply inflation was increasing it, and at the same time, if we were to expect 3.69% stake expansion, so like the staker class is growing at 3.69% net, like the new stakes coming on are replenishing the T-shares at a positive 3.69%, then that's like can be pushing down. And that's honestly like a fair, reasonable estimate target. And so just using today's daily payout per T-share is actually a totally fine estimate, because it exists now, and this thing takes a long time to change. And so at least for like the first chunk of the stake, that alone is a good estimate. But then also just like, as the total supply grows and the staker class also grows, then you can, it can kind of balance out. And what you're really looking for is like, what is the average payout across all 5,555 days? And so this one, you can really, just kind of play with. And this is like a key driver in the future value, because It's like the baseline. The higher that T-share payout, then the more hex that that are the Maximus Treasury is going to earn. And so that's what drives up this earned hex interest, is when we have that, adjusting to say 7, like that. So this would suggest that over time, the average payout across all days is 7 hex. So maybe that would mean that there was, like the normal 3.6, because like say, what is 6 times 6 times 1 to the 1.0369. Let's see what 6 times. So like, oh, come on. 6 times 1.0369. So like after year 1, it would be that. And then so say like, we now raise that to the 15 for each year. So this would suggest that like just like the 3.69% inflation could drive this like 6 hex per day payout up to 10.33, just like the inflation growth alone. But this is a little bit underestimating because of the way that this is calculated. But just like an estimate, like, it could be driving it up by that much. But then as new stakers come online, especially because, as like a lot of the really large liquid stakers, they're just bleeding out to the stakers. And so stakers who have demonstrated, behavior, like staking behavior, they're probably more likely to restake than those massive liquid hex holders that are just kind of bleeding out. So, you may expect this to be increased, like what that stake rate is. And so if you think that the stake rate is going to move down 3.69% per year, or it's going to also grow by that same rate, that like this can get weighted down by that. So like, saying 6 would be like a conservative estimate. 10 would be like a very aggressive estimate. But that's kind of up to you and to think about how to estimate that. But I generally like to expect the lowest, because then you won't ever make plans that you won't be able to fulfill. If you always underestimate, nothing can really go wrong from your perspective. And so that's what's driving this like total hex thing. And then here it's it comes down to what, like the big thing is, what is the price at the end of that stake. And so you can get kind of crazy with your moon math there. So if like current price and current payout remain constant, then what we see is a pool that starts at, where would we see the start? A pool that starts at being worth $22 million just with the current daily payout per T-share, current hex price. This treasury value in hex could increase by about, what is that, 5 times? And so that's, this would be if everything remained as is today. That alone would be serious financial performance. And that just really, like, this is just like such a simple way to just demonstrate the just like the wealth amplification effects of that max length stake.
Yeah. Some people, so I shared kind of the template with everyone, and, people were like, do you really think the hex price will be 15 cents in 15 years? And, answer that, absolutely not. Like it will very, very likely be much more. But as a baseline, it's like what Brian was just talking about with how insane those gains already are at current price. It's cool to see that. And then it's also cool to type in like what you think the hex price might be. Like if it's $1, if it's $10, like it gets kind of mind blowing, to be honest.
See, but here's the thing: even if the price is down from where it is today, the price could go down to, let's say, what would that be like? The price could go down to um, to 0.02, or it could go down to 2.5 cents, and Maxi would still break even in that sense.
Yeah.
It's like price could dip almost 90%, and like because you're earning more of it, then like you can still break even on that. So like even if, you know, so 15 cent and 50, honestly, that's like not even that unreasonable of an estimate. Like it may in between then, and like in between the two, it may pump to hundreds of dollars, but maybe, you know, maybe at that time around the max length stakes, like all ending, like maybe we see the biggest bear market ever. That wouldn't be unsurprising. So, you know, that's you know, that's like the $1 billion question here is, you know, like what's the price going to be and when is it going to be that price? And so that's, you know, that's one of the benefits of Maxi, is that it'll kind of, honestly kind of stabilize that, because, you know, because maybe some of that will be, rather than like having like crazed volatility surrounding that, maybe Maxi will help kind of absorb some of that. You know, but also, you know, it's just like Maxi is just like going to be another tool that the market uses to assess the current and future value of Hex. And so, you know, that's kind of why we made this calculator, because we want people to be able to kind of make these estimates for themselves. And, you know, also like, you know, maybe like it doesn't even make sense to think about the Hex price in dollars necessarily, like over that term, you know, like, especially because like, I think it makes more sense to be quoting the Hex price relative to ETH or relative to Pulse.
But that just adds a different variable, right? Like this is something we always go back to. You are more comfortable with viewing prices in Hex, but like everybody likes to see dollar value today. Like
but in 15 years, you know, maybe your perspective is different, or, you know, or because if you're quoting your end result in dollars, you also in the back of your mind have to think like, okay, like what, like say that the end price is $1, say, you know, like what will $881 million get us in 15 years? Like you also have to consider that. And then also like you don't like, because such a big, something that we should probably add to this calculator is like a gas estimation.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was,
and so like because the gas is paid in ETH, that's like the clear cut way to distinguish the like really like what percent a normal staker is losing relative to a Maxi staker, just, you know, due to the gas. And so, you know, that's, you know, but yeah, I mean, this, you know, what is the Hex price and what is the gas price? Like those are the two big questions that you'll see the market trying to guess what they are. And that's like really what drives that premium discount cycle, is especially early on. I think over time it'll kind of converge towards the redemption rate. But over, you know, like especially on day one, like that's the day with maximum uncertainty. And so uncertainty is what drives volatility, and the volatility is what gets you a good price on both directions. So,
well, one thing that'll be really interesting too. So like one of the only certainties is like the guaranteed Hedron that we'll be able to mint, which is a solid variable that we don't need to like really consider. But what's going to be really interesting is how Hex price and Hedron price are tied over time, because over time, as we see that relationship, we'll be able to estimate Hedron price in, you know, as a relation, like a related number to better estimate that, which I think is interesting. I mean, yeah, the very interesting thing to me is, and one thing I wanted to talk about was, so when people think of Maximus and pooling for a MaxLink Hex stake, the first thing that people think about is the bigger pays better bonus at 150 million Hex. And so, you know, we showed that here. And what's really interesting playing around with the numbers, you can visualize how, like, say we didn't have 150 million Hex, say we did like 150,000 Hex. it really doesn't change your gains that much, surprisingly. Like I thought it'd be much more drastic. It's only like 3% or something. So you know, and that was kind of a discussion today on Telegram, was like the goals and success of Maximus. And I'm thinking more in terms of participants. Like I want as many people to experience the benefits of Maxi. Um, but it's an interesting dynamic because like as a pool we're in this together, but at the same time you're also essentially just staking on your own with added benefits. And so regardless of how big the pool gets, you're actually going to basically experience the same gains you would if it was 150 million. You know, so I thought that was really interesting. And
it's definitely a balance, and it's, you know, I liked how we described it in our stream the other day, where the right number is just the number that ends up happening, because like there's like 4 different scenarios, and depending on like each individual's like unique perspective and where they're at in life and where they're at in their like investment, you know, life cycle, and like what their other needs are, every person kind of has their own thing that would benefit them a little more. And so just kind of like the sum of all that together, I think is really symbiotic. And it, like, you know, there's really no, like, if not many people mint, then that's a lot more hex on the sideline that may want to gain exposure to that. Or like, you know, or if a lot of people mint, then maybe that's like a good way to get more hex at a low price, you know. And so, you know, you're effectively getting it's like you're effectively rewinding time and getting cheaper T-shares because someone's selling you their stake at a discount. And so there's kind of something for everybody there. And I think that can be very appealing. And it also just seems really fair because of that. Like, you know, it's like someone, like the only negative things that could happen to anyone are like an equal positive to somebody else, but like neither of them have like any advantage over each other. And so it's like a fair, it's just like, to me, a really fair way for everything to be oriented. We got Whales in the chat.
What up, Whales? What up, David?
Wow, this is the best project out of all projects, excluding Richard Hart's stuff. Hey man, that's a compliment. Thank you.
Damn.
Dude. That's awesome, right. The math is too strong. Seriously. Yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah. Damn, dude, that's very, very kind of you to say. Thank you. David says derivatives can be great, especially when backed by something awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like this isn't like some like side bet on what the price is going to be. Like this is real. Like if you own the MAXI, you take delivery of the hex. Like this is, you know, you're fully backed. Like it's not just like, you know, like a gambling game. Like you hold the asset. And so that's definitely a really, really powerful thing. You know, and I think this really is just the start of like a new class of crypto that's kind of like a hex backed asset. And that's, this will honestly probably be my life's work, will be related to this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Just math. Let's see. So this is a good, I don't know whether to mint during sack phase or wait till the plebs to dump off launch. So both, you know, I think you said both later on in your comment, but, you know, because, you know, not like there's kind of a couple of areas of success. One is like the total gas savings per user from, you know, holding exposure to staking through Maximus versus staking on your own. But 2, you know, we definitely want the market to be liquid, you know, because that's like a big value proposition of having fungible hex stakes is the liquidity. And so you as either a liquidity provider, you know, someone who's pretty much constantly buying and selling at like a range of prices, you know, either you being that person, which requires you to have both Maxi and Hex, or just you even just being a buyer in the future. That's a, you know, like those are 2 great ways to, one, just gain Hex exposure. Because if you're liquidity providing, you're earning trading fees in both Maxi and Hex. You're really just earning more Hex while maintaining liquidity of both the coins. But, you know, but if you're just a buyer, you know, you could potentially just get a screaming hot deal. You know, if someone maybe messed up in their like in their Uniswap settings, and they somehow just like nuke the price on accident, and you're in there to fill those orders. You may be able to make up for years of staking in just like a couple of moments just by buying a discount on the MAXI. So there's but both is definitely the obviously every person has their own unique situation, and so everyone should make their own choice, and you're fully responsible for your own choice. But the MAXI doesn't end after the minting phase. Like, it's kind of where it starts, and then the game really begins. Over like who's gonna actually end up in possession of the underlying hex. That may be the game of the century.
I like that. I mean, like we were talking about this earlier, but I really love the simplicity baseline of Maximus. Like, it could easily be 3 steps, right? Just mint, wait, redeem. Like, I mean, that's 2 steps. I mean, if you have to buy hex, which I hope people are doing to mint MAXI, buy hex, mint MAXI, redeem your gains. Like, simplify the process. And then on top of that, there's also this insane game theory that we like to speculate on and think about. But to the everyday holder that doesn't want to participate in that, they could equally benefit, right? And then there's those premium and discount cycles for people if they want to trade a little bit, like, and lock in some gains along the way. Like, you can do that too.
Yeah, you're right. And also, not only do we like optimize the yield producing aspect of it, the act of us spreading the gas kind of in a fluid way across like really the whole world, anyone can pay for it. Everybody else, like in 5,555 days, there's going to be, especially now, like hundreds of max length or close to max length stakes ending every single day. And it all depends on, like Ethereum gas limits at that time, or pulse chain gas limits and prices at that time. But there's going to be so many and ending a max length stake or any long stake in general is very gas intensive because of the interest calculation. So everyone ending those stakes is going to be like flooding the Ethereum mempool or pulse chain mempool with transactions, and they're going to be bidding the price up against each other. And like the act of all these max length stakes ending and costing a lot at the same time is going to even like further amplify that cost. And it could be in the year is 2039, and only the Mexicans can afford to end their stake.
Yeah.
And what that means is that like all these people that previously were going to be competing with us in the sell side of the liquidity pool, they're all stuck. They, if they want to get back hex, the amount of gas that it would cost them to get their hex, they could just buy more hex from us in the liquidity pool. And so that like gas impact, it has this like amplifying effect towards the end when all these stakers are going to be ending stake. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of max length stakes ate the penalty and early end stake. I think in 7 years from now, we're actually going to see a lot of max length stakes ending stake, because it looks like the gas that they're gonna have to pay for each incremental day of their stake is going to exceed their earnings. And maybe it's in a price pump, and maybe they're just like, all right, like this is it. And so that could drive the payout high, because all those penalties go to the stakers, and the people who are going to get to experience most of the penalties are the people that can afford to end their stake. Yeah. And so if you're holding max length stake exposure with Maximus, you're just going to have a better chance of being able to capture a lot of the value of your stake. And so that's going to be pretty wild. That there's that's going to be like, maybe that's going to be like the big wealth transfer settler amongst the hexicans is like the gas games related to ending the long-term stakes. Because especially if there's there are people that have a ton of stakes, like hundreds and hundreds
I feel
of big long stakes, and that can really eat into that.
Yeah. We talked about it before, like had the idea of like a lending protocol for ending stakes. I think that would be beneficial, but
yeah,
yeah,
that
I
would
mean,
be pretty cool.
we're definitely solving that for sure, and just hedging the risk of what it could be.
I think if someone runs good accounting, I actually think that may be how to make it work. Is like you could put up like some type of, I don't know, like bounty, or you could like enter a smart contract that like allows whoever runs it to be able to like, run it in a way where like they end the stake, or they run good accounting on you, and then once you end your stake, like your hex is then like locked until they can withdraw, like they can trigger the transfer of whatever you promised them. That, and I know that the staker app people have worked on some different ways, like where you can pay for gas in USDC, or you can pay for gas in hex. So like I think that stuff could exist, and so that's one way for people to recoup some of it, or like if the value's there but they don't have the cash on hand to end the stake, they could do that, and that may be opportunity. Maybe the Maximus people can lend them the funds.
For real.
Because they'll be able to afford it.
Yeah.
The Maximus people turn into loan sharks. We just
well, what's really interesting
for the Hedron stakes too, because a lot of these people that lock up the HSI instances to take out an advance, one, if the Hedron price pumps, like if you're borrowing Hedron and you like buy something else with it, if the Hedron price pumps without them, like one, they may not be able to pay it off for that reason. But two, like maybe they don't even want to pay it off because you're paying it off to reclaim a stake that won't be feasible to end. And so
does that mean people might take out fat loans before their stake ends because they know they won't be able to afford the gas? I mean, that could be like
you probably would have been better off just keeping the hex you had from the start for that. But like maybe people, once they realize that like it's probably not going to make sense, maybe they'll just stop paying their advance. I don't know what the payment schedule is, but
think about
that may be another reality, is that the Maximus people, just with the Hedron that we earn from holding our stake, just clean house on liquidations, where like everyone who can't afford to end their stake is like getting liquidated because they just stopped making payments because the Hedron pumped and their stake is too expensive to end, and then the Maximus people just
swoop some Hedron stakes.
Oh my god!
I mean, honestly, that's a great strategy for like a rollover. Once this stake ends, right? But yeah, I don't know. That sounds like a interesting strategy, because like the thing I view with like HSI stakes, it's just like very hard to value them. You're playing an NFT market, and you're trying to like look at the characteristics. Have they minted the Hedron? But the thing is as it gets closer to that end stake, you have a better understanding of like its real value. And like we were talking about with gas fees, like maybe other people, I mean, you could either like take out a loan and get intentionally get liquidated, I guess, or you sell it to someone who is able to end that stake. Maybe you like deduct the gas fee payment to end that from the gains, and that's a way to like essentially leverage a buyout.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, your calculator could be really helpful for people valuing it. We should share it in their chat, because like it's kind of the same thing. Because with that, I mean, because there's the whole Hedron borrowing aspect, whereas like with ours, it's like as if we didn't borrow it. Like we mint as we go, as opposed to taking in advance on those days. But that would be truly hilarious if the Mexicans just become the new financial elite, only because they're the only ones that can afford to end their max link stakes, which simultaneously pumps the hex price and allows them to accumulate more and more of all the hex.
We need to start naming our strat. Like I've seen some other communities, they're like, this is the haunted strategy, or like we need to start making
Spooky.
a playbook. This
Spooky strategy.
Spooky. Yeah, we got to start naming them.
Well, cool. So yeah, I mean, we should just add this link to the maybe the website, or just find this link in the Telegram. Really helpful for just estimating. Play around with it. If you have any questions, or if you have one to share, share it. And
yeah, looking for
this, but this is critically important for just in general. Like this is like the core of Maximus is like, what is this thing worth?
Dude, to be honest, like building this and playing around with it. I mean, I'm a very visual person, but like, just made me so bullish. Like, it's just pretty crazy where this is headed. It's pretty awesome. All right, I'm gonna drop. I can drop this this link if you guys want. It's set to read only, just because it's kind of like the template. So just make a copy, and then you can play around with it on your own. Oh yeah, I don't have comment ability. Oh well, I'll do it on here.
Okay, so
wait, make me an admin, or do you know how to do that?
I think so.
Yeah, just so I can like
guests. How do I?
If you don't know how, it's fine.
Are you? What to like highlight the comments or what?
Yeah, and so I can add comments in here too. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. All right, so there's the link. I think it should work. But yeah, this came together really well.
That's weird. I don't know how to add you, but
it's
I'll just share the link.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it came out really well. Definitely looking to improve upon it. This is a V1, so if you guys have feedback, definitely let us know.
So, sorry to cut you off, but next thing, do you want to why don't we talk about the audit and just kind of where everything's at with that? Let's see. Do you have the Telegram, or can you paste the link to the PDF, or is it a
yeah? It's a PDF.
Okay, so I don't know if I can pull it up, but okay. So here, I'll just go to their website.
I'll send it to you while you're doing that.
So we're going forward with an audit from this firm called Solidity Finance. I looked through just kind of like their website and some of the stuff that they've done stuff with, and then I thought that it was thought that it would work out, and then the cost was within the budget that we were trying to shoot for. So we're gonna go ahead and hold on a second. Excuse me. So we're moving forward with this audit. So we're going to be getting an audit report kind of like this, where they, where one, they do a full thorough code review and like test suite on your smart contract, just to make sure that there's like no like kind of inflation bugs or any other types of ways that someone could lock up the contract. And then they're going to produce a full audit report that we're going to be able to use. One, just to like make sure that everything's good with our contract, and then they're going to give us a chance to fix the things that they recommend, and then they're going to re-audit it. And then this will be what we publish alongside the contract as a way, running any stuff on blockchains is risky, and who knows what could go wrong. But so you need to always be asserting for yourself that whatever you're interacting with on a blockchain is going to work as you expect it to. And so things like this audit are really just there for the people that are going to be using it to have some more peace of mind, to know that this has been at least benchmarked against a known set of vulnerabilities, and has had some type of security review that that is going to be that you can look at and factor in the amount that you're going to be willing to risk on anything. So, we're going to get this report. I just realized that it wasn't displaying because it's in a different tab, but we're going to have one of these reports. So hopefully that along with the code itself, just being very easy to read and being public, we're hoping that these can be all the tools that you need in order to assess for yourself the risk tolerance that you're going to have when interacting with Maximus. So we're pretty excited. We're scheduled to get that audit returned to us on April 6th. So depending on how long that second round of review takes, if there's a lot that needs to be changed, maybe it takes a little longer. But if it comes back and everything is ready to go, then maybe we could have a version ready for mainnet maybe in the next 3 weeks or so. And so considering what Richard said on his stream about, I think in passing he said something like maybe under a month till Pulse Chain. There's a chance that we can get this whole thing fully audited, done in no time, and then from there we can, launch. We can launch the minting phase before Pulse Chain. So this is in motion. We'll keep you updated as they get back to us with stuff. But overall, we're pretty excited to be able to get one of these awesome reports. Let me try to pull one up.
So I keep getting asked kind of the same question about Pulse Chain launch and Maximus launch, and kind of so our goal, as mentioned, our goal is to launch before Pulse Chain. If it doesn't, we will launch Maximus the contract to both chains. And so, in essence, it's kind of the same thing, because essentially all you'll have to do is mint on both chains. But if you have your hex through that copy, you'll have a copy of hex on each chain, so you can just use that hex to mint on both. Someone also asked a great question about if we start our mint phase and then the fork happens in between that or within that phase. Brian, what did you say would happen essentially?
Yeah, so all the MAXI that had been minted will be copied over, and then from there, the two minting phases will be kind of going independent of each other. Mm-hmm. So if you've already minted MAXI on Ethereum, which is backed by the ETH hex, then your MAXI that you're going to get on Pulse Chain is also backed by the Pulse hex. Mm-hmm. And then for people that hadn't minted yet, each minting will only be on the chain that you do it on. So if you do it before the snapshot, your one minting step will get you the MAXI on both chains. But if you are after that time, you're going to have to take your copy of your hex that you got on Pulse Chain and then mint MAXI with that. Yeah. And so our website will support both chains. So you'll just be able to toggle back and forth between being on Pulse Chain and being on ETH. And then, hopefully the Pulse Chain drags on a little bit and we're able to complete the MAXI minting phase pre-launch. Yeah. And that mainly just for it's kind of a superficial reason, but mainly because then from there, the eMAXI and PMAXI will be 1-to-1. And so it'll be easier to measure and understand, intuitively understand the relative value that the market is placing on a stake on Hex versus a stake on Pulse. Mm-hmm. And so that alone may even be reason to reduce the minting window. We've been saying 30 days is kind of arbitrary. It's just to give people, but if you think about it, because there's no time weighted strategy and there's no USD value based strategy, most people are probably going to mint within the first couple of days. Yeah. And also if we just shrink in the window, then, people are just going to have to do it faster. And then if you don't get it, you can buy it, which is totally another great way to acquire MAXI. So maybe we, if it's dragging on and we start to really sense that pulse
Mhm.
chain is looming, then maybe we just reduce that initial minting window, because that 30-day was fully arbitrary. No
Mhm.
one had ever even asked about it, or even
we kind of just
maybe,
picked that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. And you had a great point. So like people have asked, is there a bonding curve? No, right? Like, so for that entire mint phase, you had the ability to mint 1 hex to 1 maxi. So, there is no real benefit to like waiting. If you're going to mint, I would recommend minting early. You might as well. But yeah, I would say, the only benefit to a longer mint phase is maybe there's some laggers that like hear about it because of the mint phase going on and they want to get in. But I do feel like most people that are gonna mint, will know before that.
So we've done 2 tests. Obviously we're not reaching everyone that we are going to be reaching.
No,
but,
totally. Yeah.
That's just part of it. You got to be tuned in. You got to be ready to take action. And if you're not, you may have to just buy later from someone. Hopefully someone break you off.
Will said make it 3 days. Just make it crazy. Honestly, that is, dude. Yeah, I mean, again, that number is arbitrary. We just picked 30 days. Probably, I don't know, just kind of like the standard, I guess.
Really, like no reason at all.
Yeah, no reason.
Like 30 isn't even a good number. But yeah, this is.
Yeah. So maybe let's do a little live demo, live demo of Maximus. Let's mint some.
So let's how do we do this?
Your MetaMask won't show.
Yeah, so I'm gonna switch remove that, and then I'm gonna do this. So stop screen. I'm gonna share screen, and here I'll just do entire screen.
Oh, I wouldn't do entire screen.
I don't have any notifications on this.
Well, but like that's connecting your. If you share your entire screen, it'll show your MetaMask. If you just do
that's what I want to do, because this MetaMask is burner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. OPSEC, dude. OPSEC, bro.
Dude, that's the best part. If somebody even tried to come and like rob me at my house, it's like, all right, what are you gonna take?
Where are your keys, bro? Where are your keys?
Oh, my car key. It's remote. All right, let's just okay. So you see it?
Yep.
All right. So we're on Ethereum. So
do you have Ether? I mean, do you have Hex already?
Maybe not. We'll see.
Let's maybe run through
a full
how to get it.
Yeah. Okay, so here, let me go. New account. All right, so here it is. We go to the MintMaxi page. If you haven't already, you need to get the Pulse Chain Testnet RPC. But if you already have it, it'll tell you to connect to Pulse Chain.
See, it's pushing to testnet. We got to fix that.
Yeah. No. That's it.
No, it's mainnet. It's titled mainnet.
Oh, so I honestly didn't change the name.
That's why, yeah.
Well, no, just in my browser, I just updated from V2 to V2B. So I think this should work. Let's see.
I don't think so. I think this was. Yeah, that's old net. Just delete it from.
Well, shit.
So if that is the case, guys, all you're gonna need to do is delete the testnet. Yeah, it's titled Pulse Chain Mainnet.
We'll go fully from scratch here. So here's how you do it. You come and look at the RPC URL. You take it back.
Doesn't it automatically add if you try to connect? No.
Let's see.
Just try.
Hey, there it is.
Dude, you're such a noob.
Okay, so so in the app I actually need to update that name. That's the problem, I think. but let's just see. I think it should work. And that's okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll need to fix something in the connection step. I think I know what the problem is. But we're connected. You can tell it's connected because it's showing the numbers there. So we're going to need hex. So first step, we need to get the hex from the faucet. So let's go there. Okay, we sent the request. Okay. So next step, you just need to buy the hex on Pulse. So
wait, is that not an iframe? Is that just
no? I got rid of the iframe because it wasn't reliable across different devices on mobile.
I think we should get rid of the photo because I would.
Oh yeah, no, this is an iframe. This is an iframe.
Oh, okay.
But let's see, it may work.
I thought you just put a picture of it.
Oh yeah. So this works on desktop, but it doesn't work on mobile. So here, okay. So we got that. Let's just do say 5 pulse for hex. I know that these books are so thin. 5 pulse gets you 0.02 hex. That's fine. It can work in that's even users with this much hex are going to be able to successfully stake with Maximus.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and add hex to your MetaMask.
Yeah, I mean it really lowers the barrier for lowest amount you can put in. I mean,
all right. So there it is. You can refresh your balance by clicking that. It's a little Easter egg.
We also need to get that up on the bar as well. It just, I don't like how it makes it big, but anyways.
Yeah. So we got our hex. So you can click max. You have to give permission. So here, just so we have more chances to do, we're going to do a really tiny 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do a little tiny.
Why are you doing so?
Just to show that you could mint a single heart, and get a single mini. That's the other little Easter egg, is that there's maxis and there's minis, much like there's hex and there's hearts, and there's Bitcoin and there's sats. Maxi, mini. Okay, so we've just approved that the Maxi contract to be able to interact with your hex. So now we're going to do mint Maxi. Confirm. We'll wait until we get confirmation. All right, so there we go. We have 1 mini, and we have a little bit less hex. So now we want to add Maxi to MetaMask. We can go there, click add token, and there you have it. So we've just successfully minted the tiniest unit of Maxi possible.
And go to dashboard. So this is our test phase.
Holy shit, people have done a lot. So yeah. Because of how little there is for sale in here, honestly, that means that people with a lot of hex are minting because they got it. They're actually minting on testnet from their same private keys as their main hex. Wow, look at that.
Some whales.
So that's a very tiny amount. This was manually done. So this test stake, we'll have to fix this. This test stake is only a couple days long. That was just it automatically adds 5555.
Is a mini 1 millionth of a Maxi?
No, it's 1 10 billionth, I think. What is that? What number has 10 zeros or has 8 units? 1 followed by 8 zeros is 10 million. Okay, so now we can go to redeem. So during this time, you redeem 1 hex per Maxi burnt. So we're going to just go ahead and do that. Believe it or not, you can actually type it in like that.
Yeah. So one thing about Maximus is that, during the mint phase, up until the point that hex is staked, you can actually redeem hex with your Maxi. If you get cold feet. So, if you mint, you're not necessarily locked in. You can always pull out before the stake starts. But once the stake starts, obviously there is no hex that's staked. So you'll have to wait till the stake ends to actually redeem your hex and your Hedron. So
yeah, and that's a good point. And there's no fee on that. The only thing you'll pay is the gas. And so, what's pretty cool about it is that you can look at this. You can look at your address in here and see the different things that we had to do. So right here, this was getting the pulse, swapping pulse for hex, approving hex, and then running the mint function where we transferred from this was redeemed. So the contract address sent 1 hex to us, and then we sent 1 MAXI to the burn address. So we burnt our MAXI and redeemed our hex. So that's how you can interpret this in the Explorer. Let's see if it has our. It doesn't have. Let's see, maybe here. Okay, yeah. So just with how these blocks are indexed, sometimes it doesn't show you your thing. So our minting block, or our minting transaction, wasn't picked up by the Explorer just yet. So you just have to wait a little bit to see that. But you'd see the same thing, but in reverse.
So the cool thing about, so we've done one test phase prior to this. The cool thing about launching on V2B is that you can actually now go to PulseX, and I created a pool earlier today. So
let me go. I'll find it.
I
can find it.
Yeah, so if you ever need the contract address, just go to your transactions. You can find it there on Block Explorer. Why'd you go there?
Sweet, I don't know. Yep. Oh, so did you make a hex backed pool?
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna go ahead and.
Oh dang! Did someone wait? Go to the price. Click the little chart icon at the top right. All the way up.
Hey.
Wait. Flip
Did
it.
Someone
next to Hex Maxi, flip it. You see, yeah.
Did someone nuke the price?
Someone nuked it.
But still, it's at 3-1, right? Is that how to interpret that, right?
Yeah.
So you need, so 1 hex now buys you or 1 MAXI. You can, with 1 MAXI, you can now buy 3 hex, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait. I don't know if someone just swapped it again. I don't know if that was another trade.
So with 1 hex,
or am I?
Well, no,
1 hex is
well,
now
I mean,
worth more than
that could be it, actually.
Yeah, 1 max. I'm so confused right now. It's not.
Well, also because I don't have 1 max, but I do have some hex. So
yeah, so like reality when mainnet launches.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing is like, this isn't a sacrifice phase; it's a mint phase, and so you're immediately getting your maxi tokens. And the interesting thing, when we were first thinking about it, we made a chart kind of showing the relationship between treasury value and backing value, backing value and market value. But like, someone could honestly create a liquidity pool during the mint phase. So I mean, I would assume that would be like a 1-to-1 price. I mean, that would make the most sense. Maybe that would be the best way to like.
Well, it likely will, because of the redemption aspect.
Yeah.
Like, any price difference there will be settled between selling and then minting, or like buying and redeeming.
So wait, say that again.
Like, if there's a premium during the mint phase, then somebody would mint and then sell and then get more hex immediately. So it would get like arbitraged out. But once that redemption phase closes during the stake, that's when it can kind of go crazy.
That's when it'll be worth 80, $80.
Let's see.
It's gonna be interesting, man.
I just bought 0.007 MAXI with 0.023 hex. So what was the balance when you created the pool?
Dude, it was like 1 MAXI to like over 1,000 hex. So someone definitely I know who it was too. I know who it was.
One MAXI to 1,000. Okay, so they just pretty much went and minted 1 MAXI. So that's exactly what happened, literally. Yeah. Is that they turned 1 hex into 1,000 hex instantly.
Damn.
That's hilarious. How can we see the? Okay, let's see. How do I view the contract? Yeah, let's check out the.
Yeah, so guys, just fair warning: do not, if you're creating the pool, do not be an idiot and get wrecked.
Yeah, don't.
Dude,
unless you're an advanced user, wait for an advanced user to make the pool.
Because essentially, yeah, like they would mint it, they would get the MAXI, sell the MAXI for hex, and then they could mint again and do that. Yeah. I mean, it'd probably take one transaction in their mind, but
I'm trying to find the pool. I don't know. I don't really know how to.
Yeah, I don't
find
either.
It. Yeah, I don't really know what to look for.
But honestly, like MAXI's just like, I mean, the thing I love about it with our token distribution, with it being fully backed, and with people having to use something of value to obtain it, you know, it in my mind, I feel like it's pretty dump proof. I mean, you know, no one's getting free coins. Free coins to me, like, it just, you know, creates an environment of dumpage. So I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting. We talk about that premium discount cycle, but there's a possibility that it never really like dumps crazy. I mean, it would be kind of stupid too. I hope it.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all comes down to like how big the liquidity pool is at that moment, and how like bad someone who has MAXI needs to sell, or if someone who has MAXI is hacked, or you know, any other just like strange, you know, selling activity. Then you know, but then it's just a question of like how quickly it gets bought up.
Yeah.
You know, and like, are there going to be bots that like, you know, maybe as part of like a hex, like a long-term like hex investment strategy, people just like, you know, just always have a bot that's looking for dips in that price, and they just like are willing to, you know, if they have a lot of hex on the sidelines, they're willing to just like convert the hex into MAXI at like below some threshold, because it can like with a lot of certainty guarantee that they're just going to get more hex. And during that time, the hex is always liquid that they have, and the MAXI is always liquid. Yeah. So like that may be an alternative, like yield in the sense that like you're getting more hex. People that like never mint, but are just always willing to buy as soon as it goes below a threshold, because they can like get they're earning hex, maybe not at like the full staking rate, but the option for having liquidity may have some value for them, that they're willing to like change up their their like inflation tolerance. But yeah, so that's the DApp. Do we have any questions in the chat? LPing is the play here. Yeah, I mean that's kind of, you know, the like a benefit of Maximus is that the best types of coins, the ones to provide liquidity for, ones that stay within some type of range. And since the underlying value of the pooled hex stake is kind of like the center of gravity for the value to kind of oscillate around, that full oscillation cycle, that's like ideal for a market maker, because they make money on the way up, make money on the way down, and they make money as it settles out. And so so yeah.
So talk about the like benefits. I I'm trying to understand liquidity pools a lot better, especially with trying to like learn pull specs before launch. And it seems that like there's pros and cons to big liquidity pools. Like, you know, with Hedron, for example, it kind of seems like when that large hex to Hedron pool was created, it kind of stagnated price. Is that a legit drawback of a big liquidity pool, or?
Well, so it matters like if the liquidity pool is equal on the buy side and the sell side, or if it's just sell side. So I think that big liquidity pool was just V3 liquidity. Pretty much that was Hedron for sale, but no matching Hedron to buy. So that type of liquidity, it like pushes.
Oh, that was a single-sided liquidity.
I think so. I think it was a V3. Yeah. But for like big V2 pairs where like the liquidity is like spread equally on the buy side and the sell side, the larger that is, the less price impact that each additional buy or sell has. And so thick liquidity is good for things where you want it to remain a stable value. And low liquidity is if you want the price to go up a lot when new people buy and down a lot when old people sell. And
when old people sell?
Yeah. when people who've held longer sell, because then it kind of like, one, limits how much like the big sellers are able to sell.
Yeah.
And two, like each additional new buyer may like amplify the paper price for everyone up. And so that's good for like more speculative coins. And because being a liquidity provider is actually really difficult to do in a coin that pumps forever. Like the original Hex liquidity providers, they were wrecked because there wasn't V3 at the time. And
why were they wrecked?
Because they had a bunch of Hex and a bunch of ETH. But then
they ended up with a bunch of ETH.
Then they ended up with a bunch of ETH when the people that held on to the Hex. Like had they put that ETH into Hex at the time, they would have been up thousands of X. But because the end result was they just had a bunch of ETH, then they only went up by how much ETH went up during that time, plus fees, which may not have been significant at the time.
Yeah.
So that's the risk of being a double-sided liquidity provider on something that pumps in one direction.
Yeah.
But something that's kind of range bound actually is a fine thing to be that liquidity provider for, because you're earning fees and it kind of has that like center of gravity that brings it about that range. So
can you pull up the calculator? I want to ask you a question.
Yeah. See it? Oh, wait.
No. Okay, so that markup so I'm curious if that is like a linear exponential factor with markup, because like, I mean, it's just interesting to see. So is that a curve? Like, how does that markup work as far as, is it linear? Is it linear or is it a curve?
It looks like I think it's linear. Well, so it depends, because I think that you included end stake value. So price at end stake, price at mint. So like, I think you added, so like the driver that like, the shape of the price chart, like per this markup, like the shape of the US dollar price chart, that's like the big driver there. But if you only looked at this like relative to the Hex markup, so here let's add like a Hex on Hex markup. That would be.
Bro, you've absolutely destroyed my beautiful calculator.
Well, good thing is a copy, right? So total Hex divided by the Hex pledged. So here in that case, like the average T-share payout. So this ignores the this markup ignores the price appreciation. So at like average T-share payout of if current payout remains constant, comes out to like 5.7 X on your Hex.
Yeah.
But if this goes up to say 10, then that hex on hex markup is like 8x.
Yeah.
So like, it approaches that linearly-ish, because what it looks like is the apex.min/charts. It looks like this. Like it increases by, like, the amount that we earn increases by like roughly this amount. So since this is roughly linear, the chart will just be like,
Yes, I feel like 6. I mean, just looking at that chart, like 6 is probably the best number to use. I mean, maybe 7.
Well,
7
so,
because you do have those spikes, but it doesn't
like
look like it really
one way to see is that like this daily payout is a result of the daily, like the annual inflation of hex during the launch was something like hundreds of percent inflation. And so that like drastic inflation increase is what gave it this slope. But then now it's like the slope is a lot less drastic because it's 3.69% inflation.
Yeah.
And so like the upward force on this as a result of just the inflation is lower on a daily basis. But then also at the same time, there are like more and more stakers coming on. Like the staker rate.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it is kind of slowing down now, but like it has been growing steadily. And so that counteracts the like that like upwards pressure from just the inflation that's being countered. And so like the end result.
How do you explain that like peak, that 24 hex payout?
Oh, that was when that guy got hacked.
Oh, so emergency instinct.
Yeah, and I think he's in our MAXI chat.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, he was. That's right.
And MAXI may have been a solution to that, because it's an ERC20 token.
Well, they would have just been. I mean, they would have been able to just sell MAXI.
Well, no. Well, so if he just held the MAXI, so yeah, they could just sold the MAXI, and then all they're doing is giving discount to other MAXI buyers, and so maybe those people break off some of their like dip that they bought from that. But also like because it's a liquid ERC20, there are ERC20 time lock contract.
I don't know if you're frozen or like breaking out. I can't chat. I don't know if you guys, if that's on your side too, but wait, do you talk again?
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So people can either deploy their own or their services that let you create a time lock contract where even if a hacker had your private keys, they could not transfer the funds at that time. So the MAXI could be locked even if they, because usually people that are committing crimes, like it's crime of opportunity, and usually you're pretty desperate. So like that time window is really important, because if they're committing crimes like and they're stealing, like maybe they'll be caught by then, or maybe in 15 years they won't even know to do that. But it's like they need the keys at the right time. And so adding a time, like a security time lock that's like unrelated to like the hex lockup, because of that, because the hex can be emergency instaked, you could lock up your MAXI in the time lock, just to give yourself peace of mind that like even if someone compromises your private keys, the MAXI can't be sold just yet. And so,
would you be able to,
maybe
with those time locks, would you be able to see when that time lock ends, like if you're the hacker?
Yeah, so the hacker would have to do that. And so then
no, but would they be able to see that, or is it a date only you would know?
I think it would be a public contract that they could infer. But maybe there's ways to like obfuscate the code so it just looks like gobbledygook, or maybe or also you can break up your MAXI across different private keys in a way that you can't with your hex, your like native hex stakes, where even if they compromise one key that's held in one way, they can't compromise the others. So that, there's other ways that you can like reduce your attack surface by holding your hex stake in a fungible, transferable way that is just like a standard ERC20. Because when your hex is staked, it's kind of like, like the shares are accounted for in the contract, but it's not like standard issue ERC20 that can just work with everything else. So that's like another benefit that we don't really talk about, because we don't necessarily like have like a contract for people to use for that time lock, and it kind of confuses it, and it's not really relevant until time goes on. But maybe that may be a selling point in the future, is like the ability to opt in to enhance security features and to like improve your security around it. So what else?
Yeah, let's talk about. Someone brought up liquidity providing. So, like, let's say, like, so if you like, is MAXI a token that you want a lot of liquidity to stay stable, or do you want less liquidity for like more volatile opportunities of premiums and discounts?
I'd say you'd want medium liquidity. You want more liquidity than there is on like a Hex USD pair, but you want less liquidity than there is on a USDC USDT pair. Because the USDC USDT, like, you really want that spread to be tight. But on the MAXI pair, you want some flexibility there. Like, you as the user, you as the seller want maximum liquidity, maximum buy side liquidity. But you as a buyer want minimum buy side liquidity. You as a like a MAXI holder, you don't really care. You want like roughly equal liquidity. So it just kind of like, but medium is probably good, because like, one, it bakes in those discounts for people to get, and bakes in the premiums for people to get. And two, just like the existence of premiums and discounts, one, provides a good trading environment, but two, that can even like further attract liquidity providers, because like, if there's a big premium, maybe there's a lot of trade activity, more trade volume equals higher fees for liquidity providers. So, just having like active trading in general is good for that market.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm very curious to see what people will do with their MAXI. I think it's going to be, I mean, there's going to be many different strategies in different types of MAXI holders. I'm definitely in the accumulation boat. I definitely am going to be hoping for some discounts to buy into the stake more over time. And I don't know. It could be a really, really strong liquidity pair for sure. It could since we're not going to have stable coins on PulseX, maybe MAXI becomes the gold standard.
You're probably right, to be honest. Truly. Like, it is honestly, that MAXI could be a successful stablecoin if it was like a USD backed stablecoin, if it was like 3/4 backed by dollars and 25% backed by high yield staking, and maybe some type of like treasury management solution that like balances. But I mean, this concept is really powerful. Like, outside of just like the user facing benefits of like having liquid fungible hex stakes, just the just like the concept of backing an asset by a highly secure yield producing high in demand asset, like, that's,
no, there
maybe something here.
You can't back it by anything better, honestly. Like, and Hedron, I mean, it's just like Maximus is just a cheat code. Like, I don't know, man. It's exciting. Like, you know, so far the only 2 completed projects are going to be on Pulse Chain, or that are completed right now, is Hex and Hedron, and we're wrapping their yield and value. You know, it's very, very exciting for sure. And I also like, you know, keeping the Hedron until redemption, because it just like fully backs it, right? Like it makes it untouchable, similar to the Hex. And so Maxi's price appreciation is just going to be booming, you know.
Yeah, and it's like we've max length staked the Hedron.
Yeah.
Because like we, you know, if this was on its own, so we're like benefiting the Hedron people, like anyone who holds Hedron, like we're helping promote the price of that, because all that Hedron is going to be sitting there untouched. Like anyone can mint at any time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's going to be there.
Dude, we're a black hole for both Hex and Hedron. Think about it. Like Hedron people should love Maximus, because it's taking like huge mintable supply off the market for 15 years.
Blue Bum. Oh, not. I had such a great time. I did a stream with Blue Bum once, a couple months ago. It was so awesome. They're in Australia. Would you want to mint if the AMR bonus kicks in?
So we updated the Hedron integration, so before, we initially were only going to like allow for the contract to run the mint function one time the day before the stake ends. Brian updated it, so now that can be run at any time. So yeah, now we can take advantage of those AMR bonuses throughout the life of the stake. So that's super exciting.
Yeah. So there is actually some kind of like hidden game theory there, where just the way it is, like mint, the mint native function can be run on any day ever. And so someone could run it even on a day that the AMR bonus isn't going on, and that could actually reduce the amount that it does earn. So,
How so?
Just because the AMR bonus amplifies coins minted that day, and so if someone on the day before AMR bonus happened to go off, they just like happen to mint on our behalf. There'd be like a smaller pool. So that was a hard one to do, because like if I was to add in rules about AMR, that just like further increased the scope of, and like things that could go wrong. And like, you know, just because we really don't know how the whole Hedron thing plays out in the end, I wanted it to be kind of like modular, floating on top. So like not adding like additional rules around that was simple. But I don't know, maybe when the auditors come back, maybe they may flag that. And we you know, maybe we could add something where like only someone who has a certain number of maxi can run the mint native thing, because then it like limits where like you know, a competitor or someone else just like maliciously runs that on our behalf, because it'll let the AMR thing. So maybe we need like a minimum maxi threshold, and you know, to just like help ensure that whoever runs it actually has some maxi at stake. But also, you know, someone could potentially flash loan themselves some maxi, run it, send it back, and fuck with us. So I don't know. As of now, like, you know, the AMR bonus, that's like a nice to have. And you know, honestly, if we lose out to that, all that is just more meat on the bone for the next Hedron people, which is fine. Like we want people to be coming into Hedron and having a positive time, because
that's your favorite term, meat on the bone, baby.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's okay to give some of those gains to other people who haven't had that like breakthrough moment yet. You know, that's we can be generous here. It's not the worst thing if we don't get like an extra bonus on the free money. Like it's free to start. And,
So I feel like one thing we can discuss is what does the future look like for Maximus? And we've talked a little bit about this before. but it's a question that comes up, and to me, this actually is a very, very exciting signal that people are thinking about the future and they're excited about it with Maximus, and that to me gets me excited. Our heads are in the future for sure, but at the same time, we're very much focused on this launch. This launch, our approach has been to keep it as simple as possible, to remove as much smart contract risk, to limit our audit costs with the simplicity, and through that, it's caused us to make like important decisions on what do we want to include in this and what do we not. But the result is, we have a working smart contract. This is our second test phase, about to get an audit. So really, really solid progress, and not that long of a time. Like, we've been able to turn from idea phase late last year into like a design and development phase starting in January, and getting to test phase last month, and still testing, and now we're at an audit, preparing for launch. So our approach, this isn't our first startup, if you want to call this that. You could, but in the past we made the mistake of like not thinking of simplicity, making it way too complicated, and it just took a lot of resources and time. So we've learned from that, and our approach here has been very different, and it's worked. So it's been able to enable us to move really agilely. We've created a product that is very easy to understand, and also how we're structuring this is leaving the door open for us to continue to build forward upon it. So I'll let Brian talk about this, but we're building this contract. One is kind of a proof of concept, simple as possible, but honestly still very, very powerful. And looking towards the future, if we do, we likely will launch future contracts, but do you want to talk about how we've kind of built this modularly with that future in mind?
Yeah. So pretty much by making MAXI just like a standard issue ERC20, say we wanted to do like a pool in the future, in addition to sending hex in to mint MAXI, like that second pool, like whatever that token's called, minting that one with hex, you could also mint it with the existing MAXI. So like each new pool, you could roll your old tokens into the new one, and then whatever changes we make to that structure, you get the benefit from those ones. And it's fully opt-in. Like, you'll never, like, the MAXI you hold today will always be redeemable for its percentage of the hex, even if
it'll
you
always
roll
be
it.
the most valuable, honestly. If you think about it, with locking in our T-share rate, like that's the biggest benefit of participating in this first one, is this MAXI will always be the most expensive, just because of the T-share rate we're locking in now. Everything after this will be at a lower T-share rate. So that's an important factor for sure. But
yeah, and like, had you just like held your hex and waited till that next one, you now have like earned the hex in, accumulated by the original MAXI. So like on a per hex basis, you're going to be able to get into that future one at a discounted rate, because it'll factor in, what it has earned, and maybe some markup of what it will earn relative to what the new stake will earn. So like, it kind of opens up this whole category of challenges related to appraising the value of these stakes. That's why we like that concept in that spreadsheet. Like, that's all I think about, is like that whole stake appraisal mechanism, because we want to, like, for that any future one, that's like the $1 million question there, is like, how do you properly like relate the value of an existing stake pool to a new one, in a way that doesn't create any perverse incentives between like people, rolling forward their existing MAXI versus, just minting on their own. So like, getting that one, because there's unknowns, is actually very difficult. Like, that's like a challenging, question to answer. And so, to do that, I obviously, like, all this stuff is like, we haven't even thought seriously about it, but like maybe some type of like bonding curve mechanism, or maybe some type of like market driven way to like really determine how many of the new Maxi is mintable for the existing Maxi. I think, like, so just getting more into that, like with like the stake valuation is important for those where if like, say we wanted to add new features to Maxi, like say we wanted to add some type of lockup where the locking, like the longer you lock, the more like, we can kind of like extend upon the hex interest mechanism by like reallocating from liquid Maxi holders to like the people who mint Maxi and then stake it. Maybe they accumulate a larger percent of the pie by doing that. So maybe we want to add some pumpamentals that may bake in a premium, like, like a time lock, where people who like are really doing it because they want to hold the staked hex, they want to do it through this way, they're not concerned with the liquidity, they can choose to lock up and then earn more of the yield that the hex pool earned. Like that's something we, a feature we could add in the future, where like all we would need to do to like update the current version to that one is just like come up with a mechanism for minting that new version with the old one. And so the way we designed our contract, it's like prepared to be able to like interacted with in that way. So like, that for instance, or maybe we want to add something where, like we want to create maybe like external from all this, we want to create a DAO whose sole purpose is to provide liquidity for the various pools that are minted through Maximus. And so maybe to incentivize that, future versions of Maxi have, an additional 3.69% inflation that is paid to the market makers to subsidize the normal trading fee. And so maybe those future versions, we really want to incentivize more liquidity. And so people who are holding Maxi are willing to pay for that in inflation, experienced over that time. We may want to, add those features. And so having like a, roll forward where you can choose to participate in that new one, or you can always continue. Like it's like, that's the best part about it all. And like a critical design criteria is that it always must be backwards compatible. And and like what you have currently will always work as intended. Like no presence of any new one will impede on how your version operates. Like every new one is fully opt-in. And it makes
a lot more. Someone had brought up the concept of creating like a master contract that spits out new contracts. And that's why I wanted to touch on our approach and why it's beneficial, is because it's like we prove something and then we can improve upon it. And yeah, it's exciting stuff. And actually, again, like people are coming up with ideas of what they want to see, which is really exciting. I know the concept of a rollover stake, like one every 30 days, which was the original idea, but we moved away from that. That's a possibility. One concept that I am really excited for. Well, okay, so before we continue this, I am kind of like working on a roadmap, and essentially like this is step one. This is phase one. Full focus on this launch, making sure it's perfect, getting to as many people as we can to benefit from Maxi. And then phase two will likely kind of like, we don't have a necessary plan of what that next contract will look like, but we do want to bake in some benefit to existing Maxi holders, like we were talking about with that backwards compatibility. At some point, one idea that we've definitely talked about that I would be very excited about is creating a platform for people to actually create their own pools, where you're able to name your token, brand it, launch it, and people can hop in on your pool that you create. So that's definitely a future. That's a little bit down the road. We definitely want to prove out more things before that step, but definitely something that I'm excited for, and I think would really open the door.
Because you could like bootstrap a whole economy by making, by organizing your own pool, making it backwards compatible with all versions of Maxi that have ever been minted ever. and then adding a market maker incentive across, all those pools.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have people who are, incentivized to like include your pool in the big, like kind of sloshing pool of MAXI pairs where like people are balancing out the future value of all of them together.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, because they'll all kind of trade on their own cycles with like just based on purely who holds them and who's selling and for how much and how they're routing, then like all that liquidity all together and like balancing out where like, you could sell MAXI over here at this price and then gain MAXI over here on this other stake for another price. And then like, you can like arbitrage that difference. Like all that just kind of like contributes to this like vast liquidity, which can really enhance the value proposition of the tokens being liquid, during the stake. So like being able to kind of like plug into that as opposed to like pooling and like market making and bringing in an economy on your own, like just being able to like plug into like kind of like a broad market making, exchange, that could be a really powerful tool for to enhance the value proposition of these pools. That's all this stuff is definitely not top of mind. Top of mind is his first launch, but this like things that we did in this contract were done specifically to enable that type of activity in the future.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on that because I think some people, like just to discuss that we are thinking about the future for sure and where this could go. But again, really trying to knock this out of the park, this first one, and provide the most benefits to people. I'm like blown away. People are very, very excited about Maximus. It's been awesome to see our community grow. We've gained like 500 followers in like 2 weeks, and our Telegram's popping off, and people are answering questions. That people are getting it, and it's very, very exciting. And it's like, I mean, already so excited for Pulse Chain, Pulse X, huge opportunities there, and that's a huge opportunity. We talked about it before, but the fact that there will be a lot of projects that don't come over to Pulse Chain, like most major Ethereum projects are not going to be on Pulse Chain, and aside from Hex, obviously, but that really opens the door for a first movers advantage for new projects launching a Pulse Chain. Obviously, Pulse Chain, Pulse X, and Hex are going to lead, but we're one of a handful of new projects going to be on Pulse Chain, fully supported, which is very exciting. Mafella says, when Maddie knows that this project exists, he will cut his wrists. LOL. Okay.
No, I think he changed his whole attitude about it all. I think he's more.
Drop the comment from the screen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Matt, he's a good person, and he does like all this stuff,
Yeah. No, I think he I totally understand where he's coming from, and you have to really understand like the experience of being in Hex as long as he has, like for the past 2 years, and like also Maddie really adopts the side of like the ethos of Hex, right? I think, or is it the path? I think it's the ethos of just like of taking like delayed gratification to heart and fully believing in it, and it stems from his passion and work in helping people with their psychology, right? And he views Hex as a tool for that. So for something to disrupt that, I think he feels that it directly pulls away from those benefits that Hex provides for like peace of mind and delayed gratification. I think through the Hedron experience, he definitely came to came to understand it more. I think it was definitely a rough 2 weeks, but I think he's more on board for sure.
So I'm gonna have to hop off here in just a minute. If you want to keep streaming, by all means, go for it. But
no, I think it's been a really, really great conversation. Thank you guys for stopping by. The links, you should add the social links and stuff in the bio or the description. But we are just some last minute announcements. We are currently running a test phase on PulseChain Testnet BB2, 2VB. Yeah. So Maximus.cash is the site. Get some hex, mint some maxi. The mint phase will go for approximately another 6 or 7 days. And then the test stake will start. It'll be a short stake, and then you can redeem hex and hedron from the pool, which will be cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free to go to t.me/MaximusDAO. Come chat it up with us. It's been really fun in there, and follow us on Twitter, Maximus_DAO. Also subscribe to Dipcatcher. Always dropping knowledge. Follow him on Twitter. And yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Check the private chat, Stan.
No, we'll save that for another day.
All right.
Oh, you flashed it.
Dude, it
was fun, man.
All right, dude. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Talk later.
Have fun.